We're going to be starting shortly if you're listening. So, hello and welcome to Making Peace with Your Pace. So, I am Cleidra Gross for those of you who don't know me. So, give me a second. I'm going to share my screen and we are going to get started. There should be a poll that you're able to take. And just if you're just hearing my voice, know that that poll is just for my eyes only. So you don't have to worry about everyone on this call seeing it. So I'm happy to see people from New Zealand, California, Texas. This is wonderful. So let me get started and give you exactly what I promised I would deliver, which is understanding how to make peace with your pace. Okay, so here we go. So this is a goal series that I thought about because a lot of my clients, this time of the year, I'm in a current challenge. Some of you are in that challenge, others aren't, and that doesn't matter for the sake of this webinar. But it's about making peace with your pace of your progress. And so I have this little turtle. This is taking forever, and so you are in the right place if you get frustrated when you don't see results. You are ready to just get there. If you've ever felt like, you know what, can I just get there already? You let your visible results dictate your motivation. If you've ever looked in the mirror and you're like, this is still not working, then you are in the right place. You're also in the right place if you haven't closed the gap in what you said you wanted in January, and here we are in the 8th month of the year, and you do not have the results of what you said you wanted in January. And listen, I'm saying these things not to condemn you, but to excite you about what you're about to hear. And then the last thing, you're in the right place if you tend to have an all-in or an all-out approach to your health. So you are in the right place. So welcome, welcome. What are you going to learn? You are going to learn my methodology for making peace with your pace begins with what I call the quadrant of success. So we'll go over that. The impact of understanding this quadrant of success is your ability to have peace with your pace and to release that struggle of why is this taking so long and this is taking forever, because that doesn't help your progress. And then I will be going over the plan that I recommend for busy people. If you're like me, you lead a very busy lifestyle. And so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but those are the three things that we're going to be covering. And just so you know, I will end with allowing you to answer any questions, ask any questions that you may have of the content that I'm going over. And so you want to stay to the end, because I have some juicy stuff for you at the end of this. So who am I and why should you listen? Several of you may not even know who I am. I know because I looked at the registrations and there are a lot of names that I don't recognize. So I just want to welcome you. My name is Cleidra Gross, and a little bit of my background. I'm not going to go deep into this, but I just want to give you some things to just give you some confidence of why you should listen to me about this topic. So I am a certified life coach. I'm also the recipient of Atlanta's Top 10 Over 40 for inspiring people to live their best life. In 2017, I won Entrepreneur of the Year for leadership and influence in my community. I'm the author of 2 books right now and counting, Rewrite Your Story and Becoming a Successful Coach. I'm also a trained professional speaker. But with all that being said, what I want you to know is that I get it. This is me 11 years ago now. And at this season of my life, I did a lot of program hopping, which is why I asked in the poll, how many programs, trainers, and products have you tried? I have tried almost everything known to man, okay? So my journey to this point included a lot of program hopping, and so I get it. And I would binge when the scale went up. I want you all, how many of you can relate, and you can put in the chat so I can see that you get on a scale. I would go to a commercial program like Weight Watchers or Nutrisystem, Jenny Craig, I've done them all, and feel like I had what I considered a good week, and the scale would go up or stay the same, and then I would binge. All right. Not that that was going to get me to my goal any faster, but I'm just keeping it real with you all. I get it. I also would binge or quit when life got hard or busy. So if I was going through a tough time at work, I would quit and I would just say, this is just not a good time, because I hadn't learned what I'm going to teach you. And I would get really frustrated about my pace. And I felt like no one really understood, and I was getting exhausted from getting really excited that this could be the program for me, only to be let down. So, what I'm going to be sharing with you is just a little nugget of what took me over a decade to learn and put this together in trying so many programs out there and realizing that it had less to do with the actual program and more to do with my programming. I believe you are beautifully designed, but we are poorly programmed. And I'm going to get into that more as I go into this, of what it really means. But I want you to know that I get it. I get what it's like to have a really, feel like it's a really long journey. My highest weight was 246. My lowest was 175. So I know what it's like to have a good chunk of weight to lose and to feel like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? And so we're going to be talking about how to change that mindset. And what I want to invite you to do is exactly what I did 11 years ago. And this is what I do when I work with my clients, is to have the courage to dream again. And to get my dream was to get the weight off, rewrite my story of my health and my life. I don't want to get into it, but I was going through a divorce during this. It was a total unraveling of the life that I had planned. All right. Um, my dream was to leave corporate America and work for myself, find love again, and to coach people like you from around the world. Because in this season of my life, I was in my late 30s at the time. I was a corporate executive. I was doing a lot of traveling, and so it was hard to attend anything that required me to go into a facility because I may be on the other side of the country, during the week. And so my vision was to be able to coach people in a space where 24/7 you would have access to what you need. So I want you to know that you are right now sitting in a dream come true. And I want that to give you hope of what could happen in really dreaming of the other side of this process of making the mental shift of making peace with your pace. All right. So much can come from this. And so let's just dive in. I want to extend an invitation to you right now to make your dream a reality. You may be thinking, Cleadra, come on, I just want to get with it. But I really want you to go with me with this and do and join me in just making a pause right now. If you're multitasking, now if you're driving, don't do what I'm about to say. But I really want you, we're jumping in right now to the content to learn how to pause. And in the pause of life, the first thing that you really have to embrace in order to make the steps from your to dreams to reality is to take a pause to actually see and feel all of your dreams around your health. We're talking specifically tonight about health. I do this for business too, but tonight we're talking about health. And I want you to just allow yourself to see in your eyes of faith, to really see and feel that you are on the right track and that every attempt prior to this one needed to occur in order for you to get to this point right now in this place and time so that you would have everything you need to just completely skyrocket and nail all that it takes to make your dreams a reality. Whatever vision you have, I just want to start with this because it's important that you dream again from a place of knowing, not a place of I hope, I wish, maybe. But I want to invite you to this space of confidently knowing that you have reached a point in time where this is your time to go all the way. Okay? And it's my prayer that you accepted this pause and this invitation to just experience this reality before we go into the content even more. Because if you've gone to program after program and trainer after trainer, you have strategies, but what you need to understand, and this is what I know from coaching hundreds of women, that it's not strategy that has to go first. And what I mean by strategy is all the different plans and all the things you're going to cut out, all the things you're going to add, the weighing, the measuring, the water, all those things. Okay, that's one part of it. But the bigger piece is your beliefs. your beliefs about what's possible for you still. All right? All right, so let's just get going. So, how do you close the gap between where you are and where you want to be? And this gap is what I teach. I call it God's Action Plan, the GAP, because again, I believe there's what you can see, and then there's the spiritual aspect of all of us that's going on. And we're not going to go deep into that, but the blocks to actually close the gap begin with what I call the quadrants for success. And if you're trying to take notes, know that I'm going to send you the replay. So let me make sure, first of all. Hold on one second here. Okay, we're good. So the quadrants for success. Hold on one second. I want to make sure this my recording. Okay, it is. Let me go back. These quadrants, let's back up. So the building blocks to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And again, specifically tonight, we're specifically talking about in the area of health. But if you want to extrapolate this to other areas of your life, you can, because these are principles that you can use in every area of your life that I'm going to equip you with tonight. So these 4 quadrants of success include your beliefs, which this is huge, your what I call internal cleaning, your support, and then having a simple strategy. So these are the 4 blocks that will close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And now we're going to unpack each block. And I will allow time for you, as I mentioned at the top of this, for you to ask questions as we go along. So beliefs. So in this picture, what I want you to know, the beliefs that I had is 246 pounds. I had repeated attempts. And I want you to think, as I'm going through this, I want you to think about what you really believe. I mean, in the absence of the rah-rah, yes, you can do it, I want you to really drop into that space of what you really believe at this point in your journey, which is why I asked some of the questions in the poll. And really ask yourself, what has been the impact of repeated attempts of changing my body? I can tell you, for me, the impact of repeated attempts was a loss of belief in my ability to do it. That may not be your answer, but that was my answer. The impact of negative self-talk. Those weeks of having, every day where I'm weighing and measuring and tracking and doing everything, and then I get on a scale and it goes up or it stays the same. The subsequent self-talk that I had, for me, it was very condemning. And I want you to think, is that what's going on with you? The impact of others' criticism. I grew up as an overweight kid, and I can remember I grew up at a time where they still would weigh all of the kids in the class in front of everyone. And back then they had some of you may not even know what I'm talking about, but the scales that have the clunk, 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 everything's digital now. But I remember I was 5'10", and I'm 5'10" now, but I had this growth spurt, right? Middle school. And I was either 10 or 11 years old. And I remember being in this long line and having to weigh in front of everyone, and the kids in front of me, the girls were much shorter, and they were like, oh, I weigh 82. Oh, I weigh 91. Oh, I weigh, 86. And then I get on the scale. And again, I'm 5'10", and it goes from the 50-pound little clunk to the 100, and I can hear him. And these boys surround me as my PE teacher is moving the scale, and they start singing, don't want to bump no more with that big fat woman. Don't want to bump no more with that big fat woman. And I'm standing there, and the tears start because he's still moving the needle. And it stops at 135. Now, you and I know that 135 at 5'10" is a dream, right? But I'm a kid. And so in my mind, I make war at that point. I'll never forget it. This was my point. And I want you to think, maybe you don't have anything this extreme, But I want you to see yourself, at what point did the criticism start? Did it start on the outside? Usually it starts on the outside because someone tells us that who we are and who we be in that moment is not the norm. And so they make it wrong. And so I want you to think of the impact of that. For me, I became a performer at that point. Yeah, I performed really strongly academically because I was like, okay, if I can't beat you on the track and I can't beat you in weighing under 100 pounds, then I'll beat you in the classroom, right? And so then I want you to think of the impact of social media and magazines. Um, social media, even in this picture, I got on social media probably about 9 years ago, so I haven't been on it the entire time of my journey. But the impact of the filtered pictures and all of this, I want you to be aware and wake up to, what beliefs are you internalizing from either the repeated attempts, the negative self talk, the external criticism that maybe you brought inside to your heart and to your emotional being, and then the impact of the media and the magazines. All of this is important because nothing becomes good or bad until we assign it meaning, right? So your inability, or our inability, to make peace with our pace, really, I'm challenging you to look at, did it come from you? Or did it really originate from something outside of you that you then internalize to make the weight that you're carrying now something that's bad, as opposed to a beautiful process of availing the best version of yourself in this season? See how I switched that? So let's just go on. So now we get to the next building block, is the internal cleaning. The reason I wanted you to identify those things is because they have to be cleaned up and out in order for you to truly have peace with your beautiful pace of your divine life. And I say that like that because it's really an insult for us to compare our journey to anyone else's journey other than our own. All right? I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm passionate about this. So I really want you to see, when you go back and look at those beliefs and where did they come from? Most of our beliefs around our pace and our body don't come from us originally. We learn to be unhappy about our size. That's learned from what we hear. It doesn't take long to be around a group of women and they start talking about how they wish some part of their body was different, right? And so this is the internal cleaning that I want to invite you to, in order to have the peace that you deserve for your pace. The first is to see every past attempt with gratitude. And you may be thinking, Cledra, I am not grateful. How are you grateful for those boys standing around you singing, "Don't Want to Bump No More with That Big Fat Woman"? Well, let me tell you why. The reason, the impact of that, when I see it through the eyes of gratitude, I'm able to see all that I became as a result. And I really want you to see it. It's not that you're saying, I'm glad that happened, but it's saying that I'm still here, still standing, still putting one foot in front of the other, still having the audacity to believe that I can get this weight off and live in my dream body and live in the best version of myself. So yes, gratitude for it. Okay. And then forgiveness. And this is a big piece. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you condone or accept what the person has done, but forgiving the people who criticized you. And that includes you. Sometimes we are taught to forgive everyone but ourselves. So I also want you to offer forgiveness for all of the times that you said bad things to yourself, all of the times, and this is going to be a part of your homework, okay? But all of the times that you put yourself down. And the other thing, the internal cleaning, is to create your world. This actually should be on the other side of how you shift into now, how do you create your world as a result of doing these things? So let me just say that again. You see the past, all of your past attempts, all of the times you've tried, all of the times, if you're like me, you cried about this journey, the things people have said. We're going to offer that part of our journey grace and forgiveness, and just, you know what? I'm grateful that I made it through it. Even if that's the sentence you can say. You don't have to get to this point of just complete bliss that it happened. All right. But this is important because a lot of times this part of the journey is the reason we're so condemning with our pace. You know, when you get on that scale or you measure yourself and there isn't any change, I want you to offer yourself a new world. That's what I mean by this, creating a world where it's total acceptance. Because the habits that you're cultivating, you know, if you're in my current challenge, you're cultivating some amazing habits. The food plan that I've encouraged you all to have, these are amazing habits. The products, they're amazing. All right. And when I say amazing, because you feel great. So you want to really immerse yourself in cultivating the habits because it's the habits that are going to keep you there, right? So when you have a focus on results as opposed to who I can become in the process, then that's when it becomes like, okay, when am I going to get there? There really is no there. Because if I waved the magic wand right now and your body was the best version it could possibly be, and you're showing up in all ways that you want to show up, guess what? You're going to have to get up tomorrow and eat the way that you ate to get there, drink the water, do the workouts, or do the walking, whatever it is that you're doing. So there is no getting there and then not having to do the habits or have the character or the response to life that you need to have in order to maintain it, right? So let's go on to the third building block. It's what I call the peaceful four. And these are affirmations because let me just say this, the way that you change the criticism and the impact of all of those repeated attempts and the negative self-talk and the doubt about can I do it and all of that, the way you change that is you have to reprogram. Remember I said you are beautifully made, but we are all horribly programmed? You know, if you can't walk by a woman's magazine without seeing something that we should change on our body, they chop us up like chicken, like your thighs and your breasts. It's like, it's insulting, right? And so this peaceful four is the way you're going to reprogram yourself from a place of love, respect, acceptance, and just gratitude for all of you, exactly the way you are right now as you move to the way you want to be. So here are some of mine, and I want you to come up with your peaceful four. If you're taking notes, then you could screenshot this, but I want you to say what would be my peaceful four? The four statements that target those areas that may still be condemning. So if you notice, my four target, first of all, how I think about myself. The first one says, I weigh myself out of love and respect for my journey, and I'm looking only for feedback about what to stop, continue, or change. What does this address in my past? What this addresses is my relationship with myself when I look at a number. And so that's the first thing in your peaceful four. It should address your relationship with yourself and the number. And there's no reason that can't be a beautiful relationship. For years, I would either avoid the scale or I would get on it, obsessively, like morning, noon, and night. So there is a middle ground where you can make peace with the number by creating your peaceful four, where one of them is related to your relationship with the number. Okay, and I'm giving you examples right out of my life. The second one is shifting your focus from the end result to how you want to show up to the habits and really being excited about the habits. So I say the habits I am creating are for life. What does this do? This releases this get there mentality. When I say to myself, the habits I am creating are for life, then what does that say about my pace when one week I gain weight? I'm not going to, then this is just feedback. It's no need to unravel or question my program or question myself, question my abilities, my capabilities. No, because the habits that I am creating are for life. So your second one needs to shift your focus from an end game to a lifestyle. The third of the peaceful four is showing gratitude that you even get this as an option. All right. I am grateful. I get I get to, not I have to, I get to choose what I eat and how much I move. If you stop and think about that, how blessed and fortunate are you that you still get to choose to move and choose what you eat? In this country, we are so blessed. If you're in the States, I realize I have some people who aren't. You're blessed in other countries too as well. But I'm saying the fact that we get to choose, what does this do? This level of gratitude in your movement and choosing your food shifts you from that place of I have to eat a salad, I have to eat something grilled, I have to go to the gym. That language doesn't serve us, and it doesn't make peace with this journey. And so then we become at odds when we say, I have to go to the gym, then it's like we are forcing ourselves to do something as opposed to how fortunate am I that I get to choose to move. There are people who have to ring a buzzer to say, I'd like to eat. I'd like to be moved to my wheelchair. Okay? So the third in the Peaceful Four invites you to look at how fortunate you are that this is a journey that you get to choose. The fourth one is again about the relationship with yourself. And so my example to you, I am my own best friend on my journey. And the reason I use this one is because it took me years to get to a place where I could talk to myself the way I would talk to you or the way I would talk to a great girlfriend. I mean, I would say things in my mind that if someone said them to me, I would never speak to them again. So this addresses that part of the self-talk, the internal chatter that no one knows about but you, but it has impact on your ability to have peace. Because if you're like a lot of my clients, and like I was at one point, that constant hammering that it's not enough, I should do more, it should be faster, you should all over yourself. And you would never do that to one of your best friends. So number 4 in the Peaceful Four is again returning you to you, where it is this incredible love affair. Because listen, you aren't getting out of here without you. That may sound like a cliche, but this is the thing I want to offer you. Love is the ticket to your best and highest version of yourself. You cannot hate your way into your goal body. Hating your thighs, hating your hips, hating, back fat, hating whatever. You can be dissatisfied, but have gratitude that your body's still there for you in a healthy state where you get to transform it into the best and highest version of yourself. And you do that, the peace comes through the love and respect of your temple, your divine temple. All right? So those are your Peaceful Four. The belief module and the block and the internal cleaning, those are the biggest. Most people are like, what are you eating, Cledra? How much are you working out? That's really not it, because maybe your own life could serve as an example that changing the food and moving it around like, pieces on a checkerboard until you change what's up here and move that around, it doesn't matter. You're gonna the same mind that talked you into overeating will be the mind that will get you to return to overeating if you don't make peace with it. Okay? Think about it. We don't want to be beaten. No one wants to be beaten. And we don't realize that's what we're doing verbally. We're verbally assaulting ourselves, right? The next block is support. This is the meme that I use for my Healthy Boss Lady community that I run for on the business side. But having support, I want you to ask yourself for this building block to close the gap between where you want to be and where you are now. Are you intentionally inviting people into your life who have a standard of health and wellness you desire? The people who have a standard. The way that I do this, I'll tell you an example. I'm in a running group. These women have the standard of health and wellness that I desire. There are some who run so much faster than I do. I mean, they take exceptional care of their bodies. I believe I do a great job, but these women do even better. It's important that you are intentional. You may say, Cledra, I don't have a running group. That's the beauty of online. You can get yourself intentionally in groups. I have communities where I do account, these calls weekly for people who are in those groups where you are intentionally surrounding yourself with women who want what you want. A part of my passion for growing this virtually is because when I started my journey, a lot of my friends wanted to go to what was called Wild Wing Wednesday. You know what Wild Wing Wednesday was? Where we would stuff our face with as many wings, chicken wings, as we could for a price. And why did we go? Because cute guys were going to be at Wild Wing Wednesday. Well, when I decided to pivot and change my life, I didn't want to go to Wild Wing Wednesday. And guess what? I didn't know where to find the women who also didn't want to go to Wild Wing Wednesday. Keep in mind, I was going through a divorce. So my whole identity of the way I was showing up in life was different. So the couple friends that we had, my husband and I at the time that we had, they didn't want to choose sides. So they just chose to not have anything to do with either of us. And then the girlfriends that I did go out with, Wild Wing Wednesday didn't fit with what I wanted to do with my body. So it was a very lonely time. And so I came online and I got myself into groups of people and communities of men and women who were trying to transform their bodies like I was and trying to transform their life. You guys read the list. I wanted to retire myself from corporate America. I wanted to just redo this whole thing. I'm like, I was at the point where, you know what, I am going to rewrite my whole story, which is why I named my book that, Rewrite Your Story. And so that's why I want you to feel hopeful that we are in a time and era where if you don't have the people in your immediate surroundings, it doesn't matter anymore. You have social media, and that's the beauty of it. So many people, I think, give social media a bad rap, but I'm very intentional about the groups that I'm in social media. I have a run group. The women that I network with, they financially are above me. I do that on purpose because I want to be around the standard where I'm rising, not where I'm always pulling. You don't want to be, and this is what I tell my clients, you don't want to be in a group where you're like triple A. You're pumping, pulling, towing, rescuing. That used to be me. And it's a lot of women that I know. And that was me because I have a heart to help. I mean, I have a giant heart to serve. That's why I do these calls. I'm doing this on a Sunday night because it's my passion. But you have to learn where to use that heart for service and where you need to be equally yoked. All right? Every relationship you have shouldn't be one where you're pumping, pulling, convincing, towing, come on, you can do it. No, some people should be saying to you, you could do better. And you've heard that saying that you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around. This is why this meme that I use for Healthy Boss Ladies is 5. You're the average. So I want you to really think about this. What does your support look like? And are you being intentional? Because it doesn't naturally happen. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, it naturally happened. We moved in communities. That's when neighbors actually talk to each other. But anyway, I digress. This building block of support is very important because your willpower will never outlast your environmental support. It just will not. What you hear, what you see, what you are around habitually is who you become. So do not underestimate this. If you're around people where you're having to provide all the support, chances are you're feeling depleted. If you're like me, when I was in a season when I didn't recognize this, I got resentful because it's like, I'm always doing for them. When are they ever going to do anything for me? And then when I finally got into the life coaching space and I hired my own life coach, which is why I love life coaching, she asked me, she was like, well, why are you choosing those kinds of women? And that's what I want to say to you. Are you choosing a support system? Because it is a choice. And this doesn't mean getting rid of the people you got to pump, tow, convince, and pull, but it's recognizing they need to play their position. I tell my clients, it's like a theater. Your life is like a theater. You are the main character on stage. And the seats that are really expensive are the ones up front because those are the people you want close to you. And then there are people that you may need to have the ushers take all the way to the rafters, the nosebleed section, because they have demonstrated that being up close negatively impacts you. And you get what I call the emotional flu. There's certain people that I'm around. It's just like I told my husband, I was just around one of them. I was like, so there's an energy exchange there that is just not acceptable for me. I mean, I am so anal now in this season of my life that you cannot give me the emotional flu. No, you will be put in the rafters. I may see you occasionally, but you're not going to have a front row seat. All right. So I really want you to wake up to, where are people positioned in your life? And are they positioned in a way where you, I'm spending time on this because I think women struggle with this a lot, where you're getting the support, not that you're giving the support. I have no doubt if you're on this call, because I attract women who have big hearts, they are givers. You're giving it, but let me tell you, you deserve to get it. All right? Let me go to the next building block. Simple. Your strategy for doing this needs to be simple and loving. And I want to ask you, for those of you, several of you are already on the program that I love, and I'm going to go over that program as well, but I wanted to give you guys what I promised I would deliver, which is a toolkit for you to make peace with your pace. Is the program you're on a great match for the season of life you're in? Now, let me tell you, the first time that I lost the 70 pounds, I regained half of it. I don't even want to go in why I did that. The point is I did, okay? And so I'm in the process now of getting those off. Now, the season of life that I was in, the picture that I showed you, the 246 pounds, I just shared with you, I was going through a divorce. I was single. And so I could be really self-absorbed in that season. I was either at work, running, talking to my life coach, or talking to my therapist. That was pretty much my life. Oh, and going to church. That was pretty much my life. And, at the time, I still live in Atlanta, or I was talking to my parents on the phone. But it was a very, the life was totally self-absorbed in that all of my energy, time, money went from me recovering from, a real disappointing and devastating time in my life. I don't have that life now. Okay. I used to run every morning at 5 a.m., 3 to 5 miles. At night, I was, working on growing my business on the side because at the time I was still working full time. The point is, I owned my entire schedule. And so as a result, I could have a very different plan to release the weight at that time. Fast forward 11 years, I'm married to the love of my life, thank God. I did leave corporate America, so I run my own business. That's a whole different demand. And I am headed into menopause. All right. And so I'm just keeping it real with you guys because I want you to get my season changed. And also in that time, I lost a parent. So there's some grief and learning how to show up in this life in a very different way than I did 11 years ago. So in this season, I need simple. I cannot have something complicated or something that only works with a lot of exercise because I just don't have the capacity. And so I'm saying all of that to say to you, are you really doing something that matches your current season? Because I talk to women all the time, and my clients sometimes they'll say, "I want to have that body I had before I had children, or I want to go back to the way I was when I first got married, and I want to offer them grace." What would you can't go back. We can't go back, and that doesn't mean give up and okay, oh well, let the role stay. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that your methodology may be different. It's just like the iPhone. If I told you guys, you know what, I have a great flip phone, or I'm so dating myself right now. Some of you may be wondering what is she talking about. But you remember the flip phone? You had to, if you were going to text, you had the one was ABC, the two was DEF. Can you imagine? It would take like 30 minutes to send a text, right? If I still did that, it's just not efficient in this season. And so I want you to really look at, are you trying to fit something that you did years ago into a time and season now that just doesn't fit? There's certain things now as my body goes through these hormonal changes that I have to decide. Okay, Cleidra, if you want this best and highest version of yourself in this season, it means letting some foods go that 11 years ago I could get away with. I can't get away with them now. And when I say get away with them, I mean and feel the way I want to feel. Another example, when I say that, is in this season, feeling great and having energy, I place a premium on that more than I did 11 years ago. 11 years ago, it's all about getting in my size 8 or size 10 jeans. I'll just keep it real. That's what it was about. But my season, God willing, I'll be 48 in 9 days. This thing ends. And I'm more awake, this thing meaning life, I'm more awake to that now than I have ever been in my life. And so, given that lens of life that I see and value life through, to me, I can't afford, or I don't want to be in a carb coma. And then when my mother calls, I'm snappy, or, when my husband wants something, I'm irritable, or I'm all thinking about how I look when I'm invited to an event. Like I celebrated another girlfriend who turned 50 last night. I'm saying all this to say, in this season, what I value is my ability to be fully present and energetic and have the mental clarity to give and serve, to leave a legacy. And I want you to think about what really matters. Why are you really doing this in this season? And it should be simple, okay? It becomes this combative stance with your pace when you have a strategy that doesn't fit your current season. I'll tell you, I was really resistant to giving up white flour and sugar. And I talked to a nutritionist. I talked to close girlfriends. I have lots of girlfriends in the life coaching space. And, they were like, Cleidra, listen, as your hormones are shifting, if you're going to eat this, eat that, you're going to be fatigued. You're probably going to have that fog. And I was like, oh, I can do it. I can run it off. No, I had to accept that my season had changed. So I don't want to beat this too long. We're at 7:43. I want to make sure I respect your time. But the point is, are you following a simple strategy? And I'm going to share my strategy with you guys. But for those of you who don't want to stay for that, I wanted to give you the good stuff. So how do you determine if it's simple? Needs to be easy. If it's complicated, chances are it's just going to be another drag and drain. All right? Something that gives you consistent results. I recently, it's probably like 2 months now, switched what I'm doing because I wasn't getting consistent results anymore. Things change. Does it increase your energy? There was a time 11 years ago when I could be completely wiped out at the end of the day because guess what? I would lay in my bed with my laptop and I would be typing my book and all those things. Well, now I have a husband. Now I have a family. I need to have energy for them. I have a business. I have clients. So I can't come to them like, okay, when are we going to be done with this? Who would pay me for that? They shouldn't, right? So for me, my program has to give me energy, not take energy away. Is it family friendly? When I cook, everybody in the house is eating it. Okay? I'm not making different meals for myself or making some shake for myself. And my husband is like, get in where you fit in, honey. I'm not telling him that. And then the other thing is, I get older, I want to look great. You've seen people, they lose weight and they look really saggy. So the program that I have has to not only make my body tone, but give me the vibrant skin that I want to have as I get older. This is all about the best and highest version of yourself. So this is how I define, simple and whether it fits in my current season. And you can take this litmus test for what you're doing. All right. Now, your homework. You can take a screenshot of this. I'm going to go slow. I want you to review your quadrants for success. So remember, these are the building blocks that close that gap from where you are to where you want to be. And I promise you, if you really do the work on these, your beliefs, I want you to revisit, are the beliefs something you inherited from a time in your life where you wrestled with your weight, or maybe you haven't wrestled with your weight that long? as long as I have, but you're at a time where you're starting some beliefs that they're not loving. Remember, it's about loving and respecting yourself and honoring your journey. And then I want you to clean them up, sweep them out of there, get them out of there. And the way we get them out is we give gratitude and forgiveness for the other people as well as for ourselves. Then you get intentional about creating the world that supports where you want to go. Whether it's in my group, which I would love to have you, it's creating and cultivating that group of support. No one rises alone. No one. Even though I eat, sleep, breathe this, I love transformation from the inside out. I still have groups where I'm like you, I'm listening to someone because we all need people to pour into us. All of us. No one is exempt from that. No one has just this endless reservoir of giving without receiving. And so you get into these groups where it's this beautiful harmony of reciprocity, right? Where you're not, remember what I said, this triple A, pulling, towing, supporting, there's a place for that. Like I'm pouring into you. There's a place for that. All right. This week, Wednesday through Friday, I'm going and I'm going to be poured into. I'll be in Brooklyn. So I'm sharing that with you to say that I don't just say this to you. I live this. And that's how I know how effective it is. And that's why my weight is coming off again. All right. And I'm at peace with the pace of it. And then simple. You want to have a simple strategy. All right. So we're about to transition shortly into questions and what I recommend. But I wanted to just pause here a moment because I know several of you are coming from different, some of you are coming from my email list and you may be thinking, Cledra, I have a strategy. I'm good with it. I just wanted to hear about the piece with the pace. And so I wanted to give you a chance to hop off now if you don't want to know what I recommend. And then there are others of you who are already in my challenge. And so I would love for you to stay on and we'll answer the questions. But it matters to me that you get exactly what I promised you would get tonight, which is a toolbox to help you be at peace with your pace. All right. So I want you to get your questions ready, and I'm going to go into what I recommend very quickly, and then I'm going to open it up for Q&A. And just so you know, let me just say this because some people are like, Cledra, I just did my hair. I don't want to be seen. You're not going to be seen on the screen when you ask your questions. So I always get that on every webinar. So anyway, this is what I recommend for the Healthy Boss ladies. It's what I do. I'm going to go through this very quickly, and then we'll talk about that. So let me stop the screen share. So what I recommend is something called the Lean Body Sculpting System. And those of you, several of you already know what that is. You're in the challenge. I started it in July, I think mid-July. And so there are 3 products, and that's it. Simple, right? And these 3 products, they're Trim. It's called Trim, Burn, and then there's a 3-day cleanse that I only do 3 days out of every month. How simple is that, right? Now, the other part of the system that I've added, because I started to have a little sweet cravings, and I also need a little fiber. My doctor told me going into menopause, sometimes you need a little fiber. I don't want to be TMI. You guys get why we need fiber, right? The other thing that I have is a vegan. It's made with pea protein. I used to do whey protein shakes, and for a long time, over 2 years, they worked, and they worked really well. But then my body stopped having the results. And so, again, I talked to some of the brilliant people I have in my life that I'm thankful for, and they said, Cledra, you got to pull that dairy out. Again, another one of those things that you can choose to not pull it out. But again, I want to be in the best and highest version of myself so I can serve from a place of being full and energetic, not having a mental fog, not being bloated and miserable, right? So there's also a protein shake, and there's this one I love. I've had it for about a month and a half. It honestly tastes like carrot cake, which I love carrot cake, but it's a great mid-afternoon when you get just that little, I want something. So I do that. And then the last thing is fiber. So in terms of food, so if you're looking at all of this, it's 5 things. 5 things. That's it. That's it. That's all I do. And in terms of what I eat, the simple way to do it that I'll share with you, if God made it, then I eat it. That's what I do 90% of the time. The other 10%, I allow some indulgences. And so you think about God didn't make crackers, God did not make potato chips. Those are things that man got in the middle of it, got in the mix. And so all of this is based around what's called a Mediterranean lifestyle. And I like it because, again, it's simple. And my husband likes it. I'm not having to convince him to eat something that's strange, you know? So, anyway, that's what I have for you guys. And if you're interested in how to order those, I I am going to be sending everyone who's on this call a subsequent email that has all of the products that I recommend, as well as some additional goodies for you to make sure you are able to complete your homework to make peace with your pace. All right. So now I want to open it up for any questions, and I see some people have already sent in questions, but the way you ask a question is you just raise your hand and I will click on a button to allow you to talk. And then you'll be able to just ask me anything that you'd like to ask me. And I'm going to look at the poll that you guys, so I'm reading the poll questions, and thank you. Most of you answered the questions. So looks like the majority of you have tried a couple of programs over the last 2 years. Most of you have lost count of the number of times you've lost and regained weight. And then the majority of you have over 40 pounds to lose. So you have come to the right place, because, this wasn't for people necessarily who have like 5 or 10 pounds to lose. This is for people who, in order to make peace with your pace, you know that, okay, I'm going to be doing this for a while to get the weight that doesn't belong on my body. I want you see how I phrase that? To get the weight that doesn't belong on my body. I want you to catch yourself and speak about your journey in a very loving, respectful, you're your best friend. This is amazing what you're doing. Who you're becoming in the process is going to just allow you to be more of service. It'll just make it a lot better. So let me just look at the questions here. And just raise your hand if you have questions. Let me see. Someone just asked me, Cleature, what do you do when your family's not very supportive? Oh, that is a great question. So one of the building blocks was support, right? So it's no different. We can't get in a convincing. You can ask for what you need, but sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Let me tell you a story. So I had a client who, she and her husband, he was from a really big family, and they lived close to his family. And every Friday, his family loved to have a fish fry. You heard me. Every Friday. And the fish fry would have, the fried fish, obviously, hush puppies, and she was in charge of making the macaroni and cheese. And I'll never forget this lady, because we would have our coaching calls while she was going grocery shopping, because she didn't want her husband to know that she was getting coaching from me. So she started to release the weight. She would go to the fish fry, and we had talked through how, just don't even try to introduce a salad at the fish fry, or try to convince them that this is what, not the best thing to choose every single Friday. She was on board with that. But then they started to notice the weight loss. And you would think they would be happy for her, but she was ridiculed. I mean, to the point, and I'll never forget it, on our last coaching call, she said, Cleature, I feel like I have to choose between the best version of myself and my marriage. And I'm going to choose my marriage. I share that with you because I want you to know that I recognize that it's very real to not have support. But I want you to recognize that you deserve to be in the body that you choose, not one that makes other people comfortable. And so the bottom line, what you can do is you could quit like that client did. And it took me a while to even get her out of my spirit, because I can only imagine where she is now. Or you can say, I'm going to be happy. You can choose to do what you need to be happy. And you can have what I call the courageous conversation with the people in your life. So hear me, what am I really saying in that example? What I'm saying is, don't try to convince them. All right? Don't try to convince them, because in your choice to not convince them, you're not judging them. So then when or if they step to you with judgment, you could say, I'm not judging you, and I would appreciate the same. All right. When you get into a convincing conversation, unfortunately, you open the door for them to try to convince you as well. So the way that I coach my clients around family that's not supportive is you get really grounded in who you want to be. Remember the pause that I invited you to in the beginning? And there's a conditioning that I take my clients through where you condition yourself and program yourself where you can go to that fish fry. I'm just using that as an example, and it not bother you. The only reason it may bother you is you're telling yourself about what people may think about you, how it's making you feel to be the only. But when you get strong in who you want to be, you can really bless and release people to their own choices because you are going to respect your choice. So that's really the bottom line. You could quit or you can have the conversation. All right. So I can tell you in my first marriage, I completely lost myself. And I don't blame my husband on that. For that. I don't blame myself anymore. I own what I created. And this is the thing, we're all adults. Own what you are creating and allow other people to do the same. All right. So that's what I have for you. All right. So we have, let me see. I think this is Savita. Hi, Savita. Let me unmute you. You may have to unmute yourself, Savita. I think you have it muted on your side. Okay, you can talk now. Hello, lady.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, just wonderful. My question is, like, I have oily skin, and I've been trying like a lot of different products. I've done Mary Kay. I've did so many different things, and my skin, like right now, is starting to break out because of this one product that I was using that wasn't any good. So I need
Mhm.
something that's going to keep my face hydrated, but not oily and not dry it out. And then also the second thing is that since I had lost the weight, because I had lost like um, probably about 80 pounds, 90 pounds. And I lost that over the last past probably about 11 years or so myself. And like I have these arms that's starting to get kind of flabby because last year my dad had passed away, and I had kind of stopped eating. I used to be the emotional eater, then I retreated back to, the not eating. And so my weight would go up and down, up and down. And so right now I have these arms that when I'm, while I'm in the house, because I can't go to the gym just yet because of health reasons and stuff. So, but just being at home, I want to be able to do something that I can be able to do that's easy, that will be fun for myself because I'm, by myself, and I right now don't have, people around me to be able like that kind of support. And so some
Okay.
recommendations.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you have the skin issue, and then you have your arms. You're not liking the way they look, and you want
No.
something to do. Okay. So there are a couple of things I want to offer you. Just your language, first of all, around by myself. You're with yourself, and that's a wonderful thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wonderful to be with your company.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing you said, and I want it to be fun. I can't promise you that. You know, there are some things in terms of your skin, and I'm glad you brought this up because I forgot this one product. I do also take collagen, and I take collagen for a couple of reasons. One reason is because of exactly what you mentioned. Is the ability for the elasticity of the skin. Now, elasticity of the skin, I can't make the claim that your arms are just going to go back to being whatever because a lot of it is also dependent on genetics and how long you stayed overweight and just the elasticity of the ability of your skin to bounce back. All right. But I do strongly recommend, and I forgot this, I'm glad you mentioned this. I take collagen this season, as I get closer to 50, collagen is helping not only my joints, but my skin, as well as the elasticity and just the ability for the joints, the lubrication of the joints as a runner. So I would recommend collagen for you. And, the other answer to the skin may be out of my realm of, I don't want to overstep my expertise, but I will say for me, just what I put inside. And I know you're drinking the water. That's the best thing. I don't necessarily have a recommendation for the outside of your skin, but in terms of cleaning up on the inside, I would recommend the collagen for both for the skin. And we can talk one off, and that's for any of you guys. You can, always email me or contact me on Facebook for that. So and as far as specific exercises for your arms, I would just Google it. A big reason I'm not a personal trainer is because I feel like that's something you could say, how to tone my arms. You could Google that and find a lot of different exercises. What I did when I broke my toe, and the other injury I had when I couldn't go to the gym, I was in a similar situation. I went to collagevideo.com. Collagevideo.com has some incredible workout videos. It's a really old company, and I have used them probably for 20 years. And they have great videos for your arms. And the one that I really love is by Jari Love, Jari Love. I mean, when I tell you this woman will get your arms right, she will get your arms right. And what I love is it doesn't take all day. She has like 15-minute workouts and 20-minute workouts. So she's one of my favorites. In my season where I couldn't go to the gym, I really, fell in love with her videos because she's energized. She's, energetic. She pumps you up. And like I said, it doesn't take all day. So that's what I would recommend for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for your question. Anyone else? I'm going to put you back on mute, Vita. Oh, you put yourself on mute. That's what I'm talking about. I have the best people on my calls. Who else? Hands raised. This is your time to get your questions answered. I'm going to go in queue and let me see if there's another question. Okay, this is another great question. Someone asked, Cleedra, how do I know when it's time to change programs? That is a great question. Thank you for that. So the way that first of all, I would go back to is it something that is cultivating habits? Remember I talked about habits and being grateful for the cultivation of those habits. Is this a program that invites you to create habits and cultivate habits that you can do for life? So that's number one. Number two, how are you feeling on it? And number three, are you getting the results? And I'd say the fourth one, are you being honest? Are you being honest? I will tell you, every program that I've been on, I don't bash any weight loss program out there. And that may be like, oh, you don't. No, because for everyone out there, there's a person who has success and who's, really happy about it. And I'm an advocate of you choosing and owning your results. And if you chose something that's giving you the results, who am I to bash it? I have absolutely no judgment about that. However, if you're on something where you're like, okay, these are the habits that I like, but I'm feeling great, I'm being honest, I'm giving it my all, but I'm not seeing the results, then that's enough. That's a deal breaker. That's the reason I switched. I was on something probably the last 2 years, and I really loved the way I felt. I mean, my energy was great, felt like my skin was looking great, but I was maintaining at a higher weight than I wanted to maintain, and it just wasn't acceptable. And so last year, my focus was really around getting back to a place where I could handle those waves of grief about my dad and not eat. And so, not that I've mastered that, but I'm a lot better. And so now I'm in a season where I'm ready to just go on and release the weight that doesn't belong. And the products that I was using, they just weren't working the same with my body. And so that's how you know. So I know you asked that question anonymously, and that's fine. That's how you know it's time to change. And if you're open to what I mentioned tonight, then, reach out to me. Again, everyone on this call will get an email with a link where you can see the details of everything I mentioned tonight. And I'm also excited. I'll just add this. I'm going to be adding, because you guys even confirmed it tonight, I've been polling not only my email list, but the people who are in my current challenge, the people who have more than 20 pounds, and even on this call, the majority of you have more than that. And so I'm going to be starting a fall fitness challenge that's going to go like after Labor Day until like the first week of November, because let's face it, who wants to be focused on releasing the weight that doesn't belong over Thanksgiving and Christmas? I don't. You know, that will be my time where I'm going to maintain wherever I am. So anyway, that's just a little sneak preview. I don't want to talk about that tonight, but that is going to be coming, because so many people have come to me and they're like, Cledra, yeah, I've made it to the fall. It's almost the fall and I'm still not where I want to be. I don't want to enter into 2019 still talking about the same thing. So just know that that's going to be coming to you all shortly as well. So any other questions, raise your hand, or you can type in the chat. I'm here for you. You know, even if you want to get like what's going to be different as a result of this call, I'd love for you to, you know, if you want to share that and make that declaration, that would be great as well. Know that it's my heart's intent to provide value for you, that you wake up to seeing this journey in a different way, and know that you're beautiful, independent of weight, and that you deserve to have peace with your pace of your progress. You are unique. There aren't any duplicates. It's you against you. So how could you be behind? You are never behind. Okay? You're learning. And if you know, and this is what I'll say while you guys are thinking of a question. Every time you overeat or you binge or you go off your program, use that as an opportunity to learn about yourself. You know, really in a loving way, what was going on? Because I can tell you, if you look at it from a loving perspective, in some way, in that moment, you were trying to comfort yourself. Whether it's comfort from a stressful day, whether it's comfort from feeling ignored. I work with a lot of women who feel like all people do is take from them all day. And so they curl up at night after their kids are in bed and the husband sleep with their ice cream because they're like, oh, finally, time for me. That's nothing to take the bad out in your mind and beat yourself up for. What it is a wake-up call to do is to get creative about different ways that you can comfort yourself and to upgrade your coping skills. I want you to start looking at it like that. How can I upgrade the way I take care of myself? Because that's really all we're trying to do at the base level. Even my client who quit over the fish fries, at some level, what she wanted was her husband to be happy with her and for her to be happy with her family. It really wasn't about the weight, right? And so, or the food. So anyway, questions, you're going to get the replay in your inbox. I want to thank you and applaud you for coming to this call because, listen, the fact that you're here tells me something about you. You have a desire to be at peace with your pace, and I hope that you really embrace the invitation of seeing yourself already in the best and highest version of your body because it is so possible. And I want you to love yourself as you continue from this point on because you absolutely deserve it. You are a divine masterpiece, and this world needs what you have. And so it's okay to put yourself on the list of people you take exceptional care for. All right? So God bless you. I am excited for you. And look out for the email tomorrow with the replay and some other goodies as far as your homework. All right? God bless and have a wonderful night. Take care. Bye.